Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is November 15, 2023, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets explode after yesterday's CPI release from the United States. Now looking at today's major economic events, so we start out the day at 9 a.m. South African time. First, out of Great Britain, a yearly CPI out of there. And then at 3:30 South African time, out of the United States, we have a Producers Price Index number coming out. In addition, an Empire State Manufacturing Index coming out from the United States. In addition, we also have corporate earnings for Cisco. Now looking at the markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the major pairs gain big versus the US dollar, and looking at the indices, both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ bust higher. Now looking at commodities, gold did trade higher while oil pretty much unchanged. And as we look at the stocks, it's almost across the board that there were gains. Lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin trades lower. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go with the Euro USD. You see this bust out move. We're going to start out with a weekly chart. You can't even catch it, okay? That's how big it is. And you can see ultimately for the past 2-3 weeks, even though we had this now downturn and downwards trend, that's been broken and it's pushed even higher. Now I want to highlight the fact that we are above the 30-day moving average on a weekly chart. Now we might use that as a support in case we do retrace from this moment. Now there are two scenarios when we get into this type of scenarios. 3 scenarios, okay? But ultimately either we'll make a fade, which is an opposite direction to this spike up, okay, which does happen, or we'll trickle higher, or we'll just find a new base where we are. Okay, so those are the 3 options. What's most likely is that we're going to fade it. And the question is how far are we going to fade it? So I'm going to jump to a daily, and just to highlight this, okay, we may fade it back down to the 108-ish level, but in the past 24 hours, this thing has gone over 170 pips. Huge move to the upside. So with that said, just be aware that there were a lot of people that were short this. And as a case of that, you know, it creates this fictitious kind of spike up and then it just sells off. So just keep that in mind. That's what the fade I'm talking about might still happen. So keep that in mind. GBP USD, same story, as that also broke out higher. But again, is it sustainable? Is it going to sustain this area? Now you can see the British pound is a lot weaker than the dollar, than the euro. And as a result, that one is going a little bit quicker down than the euro. So this would be the one that I'd be looking to short if it's going to make that move in correction on the downside. Now looking at the Turkish Lira, this continues to make new lows versus US dollar, even though this inflation data came out on the United States and yada, 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 nothing. It's still, you know, just getting to new lows and just grinding higher versus the US dollar. And then jumping into commodities, I'm just going to cover gold here because oil didn't do much yesterday. 1970 is where we're at. Now we broke our downwards momentum just like we did with the euro, and we're finding a new space, okay? Now where that space is going to be exactly, it's still figuring it out. Now, what would you be trading? I'd say trade the U.S. markets. Don't waste your time on gold right now because, yes, is it moving? Yes, but does it have character? That's more important to me. Now, let's just jump to the U.S. markets. Look at that Dow Jones. Go to 34,900. Now, this was a huge comeback from 32,400-ish level. That's over a 2,500-point recovery for the Dow Jones where we had this V formation. Now, the question is it sustainable? That's what we're going to look at the next couple of days. Remember, Cisco coming out with their quarterly earning reports today. Next week, we have NVIDIA. So we've got a lot of components that are still coming out that even though this news inflationary data came out positive, which might signal that the Fed will lower interest rates or not keep them as high as we thought they were going to keep them for as long as they're going to keep them. So this is what's turning out from it. Now looking at the NASDAQ trading just shy of 16,000 as we coming back to our highs. Now there are stocks that made new highs for the year, including Microsoft. If we look at Microsoft, look at that, busted higher to $369 a share and is down on the day. But look at Facebook, also new highs for the year, not all-time new highs, but new highs for the year. So making some progress on the upside. Amazon also on its highs. Okay, so these are the type of stocks I'm going to be looking at as they're making new highs. Now, taking a look at some of the other stocks, Tesla was a big one that made some move on the upside. I just want to highlight it. Where is it? Can't find it. There we go. Right in front of my eyes. Tesla had a big gap up and above that 30-day moving average. So this may be a beginning of a recovery for Tesla as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, went the other direction. The markets are going all higher, and Bitcoin teeters out and goes back down to 35,600. Now, again, this is a type of move that you want to see if it's going to accumulate or is it going to sustain itself at these areas. Maybe it's just a pullback. Okay, so keep that in mind as this potentially can have some momentum during the day. And if you're a scalper or a day trader and like to just take quick moves, this may be a point of focus for today. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.